Welcome to Ask Starbase. I'm Dory, and today I'm going to be answering a question from Shutout from Mrs. Rosati's class. Shutout wants to know, what is the starting point or history of making robots? First question we have to answer here is, what makes something a robot in the first place? In general, a robot is a machine that can do a job in place of a human. They come in many shapes and sizes, but all of them have three things in common. Every robot has an action or behavior it completes, a body that contains its parts, and programming to control how and when it completes an action. Long before the robots we use now, people were able to create things called automatons. The biggest difference between an automaton and a robot is that a robot can work on its own and be programmed, while automatons like the Clockwork Prayer from the 1560s can't. As impressive as it may be to watch this monk move as if it were praying, this object has to be wound up by the user and will only complete this specific cycle of movements. The first true robots needed to be programmed, and that wouldn't have been possible without Ada Lovelace. Ada started working with a man named Charles Babbage in the 1830s. They teamed up on a project known as the analytical engine, which was originally seen as a giant mechanical calculator. She is credited with being the first person to think this machine could do more than just math problems, and published the first algorithm. While this engine was not completed in her lifetime, she is known as the first programmer, thanks to her algorithm. As time passed, the idea of a robot found its way into pop culture through books and movies, while robotics pioneers like Alan Turing started to explore the idea of artificial intelligence rather than simple automation. In the 1960s, people started storing information digitally, allowing us to program machines to complete tasks. By 1958, George Devol and Joseph Engelberger built the first prototype of a machine that would follow digital commands. In 1961, they sold their first Unimate robot to General Motors, where it would remove hot metal parts from another machine. Other robotic arms followed, like the Rancho arm, the Orm robot, the Stanford arm, and the Tentacle arm. These designs were able to be directly controlled by a computer and explored things like different power sources and using sensors to guide their movement. In 1970, Shaky became the first artificially intelligent robot able to move around on its own. It used a TV camera, laser rangefinder, and bump sensors to collect information about its environment and broadcast it to a computer. The computer would analyze the data and send commands to Shaky so it could navigate through the space. Later that decade, the Stanford cart became the first robot to make use of pictures from more than one angle to better understand its environment. During the 1980s, robots started to become more commonplace outside of a science lab. By the end of the 1990s, toy robots like the Furby started making their way into our homes. Now we can find robots working to make our lives easier in a variety of places, ranging from our grocery stores and living rooms to the deepest oceans and even other planets. Thank you for watching this episode of Ask Starbase, and a special thank you to Shutout for asking this question. If you have a STEM question you would like an answer to, please email it to us at ask@starbase-ct.com, or you can go to our website, starbase-ct.com, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. Stay safe and be well. Bye!